So, the European leaders are gathered and they're discussing about the security of Europe because of the invasion of Ukraine by Russia and the fear that they have that the United States of America might withdraw support for Ukraine, and thus they fear that Europe will be defenseless against Russia. In all of these, I ask myself a critical question, which every African, not just Nigeria now, I'm big on refreshing Nigeria, but let's take the whole of Africa as a continent. What about African security? What about African defense? I mean, let's take a look at it. Why are African leaders not coming together to talk about African defense the way the Europeans are doing, the way the Americans are doing? Why? The Europeans have a reason, they will say. They say that Russia invaded Ukraine, and because of that, they are concerned. They have to up their defense game. On top of that, add the fact that Donald Trump is not too big on all this war. He wants to end the wars. And because of that, Europe is feeling like it will be a strategic defeat, not only of Ukraine, but of Europe, if Donald Trump leads America to support or to work with Russia for a peace plan for Ukraine. They feel that the peace or the security of Europe will be threatened. But here we are in Africa, where NATO actually bombed Libya. America has been bombing Somalia. The two of them are engaged in Sudan. And African leaders are not thinking. They are not thinking, or maybe they are thinking, but they are not talking of coming together for the defense of Africa. Why is this so? When I say that African leaders mostly are agents of the CIA, and African leaders mostly are forced on us based on the theory of neo-colonialism. If you have not watched that video or you don't know what that theory is, I'll leave a link to it in the description. Many people think I don't know what I'm talking about. They think it's just conspiracy theory, but it is not. Remember, they have three objectives. And those three objectives, I mentioned it earlier. They can only achieve it if they stop Africa from investing in 4 critical sectors. So that is only achievable if they force leaders on us that will implement policies that will drive attention away from the 4 critical sectors, helping the global north to achieve their 3 critical goals. Why is Africa not talking about its defense? Now, Europe is talking about increasing their defense spending, not the traditional way. The traditional way is Europe will just buy into American-made weapons. The fighter jet program, the submarine program, the aircraft carrier program, strategic bomber program, the air defense program, they'll just buy into it. So you see, most of the air defense system in Europe, you have the THAAD missile defense system, you have the Patriot missile defense system, which is technically or basically an American system. Their submarine technology, their aircraft carrier, their fighter jet, F-35 is, I don't think Europe does not, as at now, have any 5th generation fighter jet. They don't. The best they have is 4.5 generation fighter jet. They rely heavily on America for their F-35 5th generation fighter. They don't even have access to the B-2 Spirit or the Strato Bomber or the B-21. They don't have access to the F-22 fighter jets. They don't. They don't have access to America's nuclear-powered submarine technology, although they have theirs. So you see, they have relied traditionally on just paying to buy American-made weapons, which is actually just making America richer. Many people don't know this is one of the reasons why Trump is insisting on them increasing their defense spending. Because when that happens, American companies get to benefit, and that boosts the American economy. Now, Europe is not going that traditional route. They are looking at their defense companies within Europe to encourage them with subsidies, with grants, to develop Europe's own indigenous system. We hear they have their own fifth generation fighter jet program that would come into fruition around the 2030s or so. So Europe is doing all of this. You have Rheinmetall, you have Dassault, you have BAE from Rheinmetall is from Germany, Dassault is from France, you have this other one from Sweden. They all have theirs. BAE from Britain. All of these are contractors, defense companies in Europe. Now let's come to Africa. And Africa, we need to wake up. Which air defense system does Africa have that can defend against any of the global powers from the global north? Which air defense system? Which fighter jets does Africa have? Does Africa even have any fifth generation aircraft? Do we even have fourth generation aircraft? An F-35 will fly over the airspace of any country and they wouldn't even notice. Their radar system is not even sophisticated enough to notice in the whole of Africa. Not to talk of a missile defense system that can defend Africa against ICBMs, hypersonic missiles. None. And why is this so? Because Africa has failed to collectively invest in the four critical sectors. The four critical sectors that can truly guarantee the independence and sovereignty of continents or countries. Those four critical sectors, Africa has failed to invest in it. And when the need comes for Africa to come together, we never do. We are only interested in fighting each other. In fact, we fail to realize that these fighting amongst us, yes, they are born out of greed, but this greed, they are fueled by the strategic thinking and the machinations of elite groups of people in the global north. We fail to realize, and we fail to apply the simple principle that I call the Ogaga principle of war. If you are not making your own weapons, don't go to war. Basic principle. Because ultimately, the person who benefits from war is the person who makes the weapons. All the infighting we fight amongst ourselves in Africa, there are no victors, there are no vanquished. At the end of the day, the people who truly win are the people who sell us the weapons. So if Africa is going to make any investment at all, it should be in the four critical sectors that guarantee the sovereignty of countries. These four sectors are the sectors that will create jobs, that will eradicate poverty, that will guarantee prosperity, that will guarantee food security, and indeed, military security. Yet, it is these same four sectors of the African economy, of the Nigerian economy, that our zombie leaders are forced or coerced or induced not to invest in. Africa, how protected and defended is your continent? African leaders, can you not see what your European counterparts are doing? Can you not see what your Chinese and your Russian counterparts are doing? Can you not see what your American counterparts are doing? Who will defend your continent? Remember, Ugaga principle of war. If you're not making your own weapons, don't go to war. The time has come for us to invest in those 4 critical sectors. And in case you're wondering what those 4 critical sectors are, watch the video on the principle of neo-colonialism. I'll leave the link in the description. Let me know your thoughts. What you think, how will you think we can go about defending or improving the defense of Africa?